Jim, supported by Chris. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries. First thing we have is celebration of maps.
Got a couple of things. I would like to pick on Nancy, Miss Day, and talk about our school or district's engagement with your pink celebration.
With all of our pink celebration. I had the distinct pleasure, along with Julie Raymond, who is my co-chair for this event, to raise the level of awareness in our community for promoting good health, breast health services, screenings, etc. At the same time, honoring and remembering those who are either challenged by the disease or who unfortunately have succumbed to the disease. We're there for each other. Meanwhile, we had fun. We had a lot of balloons. And thank you very, very much to the MAPS community, as well as the MCC community and the community as a whole for bringing this all together. It's not just one or two people, it's many, many individuals who make this happen. Our students here at our cheerleaders joined forces with the Onekama cheerleaders just by happenstance, and thank you very much if, no, she's not here today, Stacy Andrews made arrangements, and they cheered on, forming a nice little pathway for all the walkers. In addition, it was wonderful that we had chalk art by our students. The artwork that they create is just phenomenal. And that was all of our third and second graders from Jefferson, and as well as we had many other activities going on over at Jefferson for the first graders as well. And our fourth graders created beautiful posters that we put in the merchant windows. So as you can see, it is many, many individuals who pull this together. And the most important thing is that the gifts from the heart that come from the walk remain local. And it's only at West Shore Medical Center. So I thank you very much for the opportunity and so many people of our community joining us in the fight against breast cancer. Thank you.
Second, I'd like to welcome, thank Madison staff for hosting us today. And just the other day, you had Grandparents' Day and other festivities. Could you kind of fill us in on that day? It was great.
Sure. I'd like to introduce myself. Turns out I found out my name is now Mrs. Rabbits.
Good words.
Good words. So, on behalf of Mrs. Rabbit, Ms. Rabbit, and the rest of Madison staff, thank you. We had Grandparents' Day last week. We've had the walkathon, the drive-a-thon. In fact, half the kindergarten today was at Lewis Farms picking apples, and you can see that we have an apple celebration coming up all around the district. Thank you, Kathy. We'll have all the kindergartners here on Friday. We're going to take a big crunch of an apple all at the same time. So it's been very busy with lots of fun things, but the most important thing is all the learning that we've been doing. That's very exciting. I'd like to take a minute and have the Madison staff introduce themselves. And it wouldn't be school without doing little math problems. So if you could introduce yourself and how long you've been with maths. You want to start us off, Scott?
Scott Matheson, the only male besides Mr. Hummel, our boss over there. What am I? Oh, 16 years.
I'm Christine Slavinsky. I jumped from Jefferson last year over to kindergarten, and I'm loving it so far. I have been at Max for 13 years.
I'm Allison Bay. I teach junior kindergarten here, and this is my fourth year.
I'm Beth Adams, and I teach kindergarten here, and this is my fourth year also.
I know that I'm the secretary, and this is my fourth year.
Go 4 years.
41 years.
Thank you very much. YMCA Leadership Conference invitation, Caitlin, Phil and Marina.
She's not here. It was just an acknowledgement.
Okay, thank you. I think she set the honors. Yes.
All right. Public communication. This portion of the meeting is for persons to address the board. Public communication comment is limited to 3 minutes per individual. This comment period is for those items that appear on the agenda. A second public communication comment period is scheduled at the end of the meeting for any other items. So
STLE 2020. We did meet in September, and just kind of around robin, getting these school year started, hearing a lot of reports related to that. And the most significant, two, we continue to talk about vocational education opportunities and what possibilities exist. And so we continue to have that conversation. And the other significant component of the meeting, we've decided to meet every other month instead of every month now. So we feel that maybe we can have a more productive meeting if we meet a little bit less and consume those conversations every other month maybe. Julia, you were attending, is there any?
Yeah, there's a lot of interest in engaging the industrial sector and the manufacturing sector, trying to hear more about what we can do to get our students prepared for those jobs in Manistee.
In your packet is the personnel report. We have listed in the personnel report, we have hires, just giving you notification that we have a varsity baseball coach with Dave Edmondson, and so we're excited to get Dave involved in our varsity program, and that will be starting in the spring. We have a couple of retirements. Sandy Turk, teacher special education, 7th and 8th grade, will be a mid-year retirement, and we also have resignations from a couple of paraprofessionals, Betsy Marsh and Sherry Peffley. And of course, as below, you can see some postings that reflect some vacancies. Is there any questions on the personnel report? All right, thank you.
Move to the financial report.
Sure. Begin resuming the monthly financial reports. You'll see that we're early in the year and not a lot has happened. We received 0.3% of our total revenue for the year, and we've spent about 15% of our expenditures. So these reports will continue on monthly, and they reflect our operations as of the end of the last month before the meeting. Any questions from anyone?
I believe newsletters have been provided. The buildings like to go over some information related to those. Kevin?
I guess what's on the radar, parent teacher conferences are coming up in a couple weeks. So we're trying the same online tool for parents to sign up for conferences. Because last year that was pretty successful. So we sent those out on Monday, so parents are signing up for those conference times. Get ready for the Halloween parties. No clown policy this year. And we just had our cyber safety training for all the kids on Monday also. So those are some of the highlights that are happening right now.
I was able to sit in cyber training and discussion, and as a trooper,
Hubers, yeah.
Does a great job. I can tell he enjoys speaking to the kids and engaging them in those important conversations. And it really helps when it comes from someone like a state trooper instead of just a teacher or not just a teacher and a principal. I think it sinks in and has different meaning. So I'm glad that we have that resource to do that for us.
Was that all your grades?
Yeah, 1st through 6th grade on Monday. He spoke to all the kids. And we also involved Family Liaison, Trooper Pritchard, and Wes Smith as the assistant to crime lab. So.
And I think I was in with 5th grade, and there was a little clown talk.
Yeah, he did ask him to dress as the kids, and so he talked a little about the clowns and makers that went on. So.
No matter what people wear, that you could tell when they're not good people and good intent. So
Don't
not all people are bad, and not all clowns are bad either. High school, middle school?
Yeah, great start this school year. Homecoming was really smooth and successful. Even moving the fire, it still went up by a great job there. Now we know we can do it with that location, and thanks to PCA, Morton for supporting everything. With staff, I think we talked a lot about parent-teacher conferences and also MWTA, and we all agree we just need more, we need to dive in more, and to learn more, and get more comfortable talking to parents and talking to students about setting goals. And that's going to continue this year. Is there anything else?
Staff meeting, went over chapter 1 of our Love and Logic book. Had a good staff discussion on how we are perceiving things so far. Get good questions, good feedback. We've got a 4-person team heading down to Northview High School to visit their student recovery classroom along with just their administration and staff. And
on Halloween.
some more information, and things are looking pretty good that way.
I'm going to be part of this process. We'll be working through our administrative meeting on how and what that looks like. So that's a big step for us, communicating what we know. Anything else from Max?
For district-wide, we have professional learning for paraprofessionals going on, dealing with high-need students. Professional learning this week in the elementary with math recovery. Teachers have been practicing lessons and sharing out with what they're learning. Coming up is level of literacy for the ELA elementary teachers, and just a lot of learning going on. Also, special ed department is meeting K-12 for some intensive work. Lots of positive feedback from that.
Any videotaping happening for math recovery? How's that going? A little challenging? Yes. Awesome. Are you finding that to be useful? Is that process and video and having it looked at by colleagues in discussion? All right, thank you. I think that is it. Community articles, correspondence, and points of interest. There's a number of articles that we've shared. Is there any questions about it?
Moving on to old business, track update.
We're coming up, it'll be sooner than later, that we'll be starting to kind of restructure the RFP to go out for bid. That's a pretty exciting process. I have talked to Foresight Design, looking for some sort of structure, some rendering of structure for us to use for kind of a donor to put names and donors on near the track area. And I've asked them to give us some renderings, some ideas on what that facade or entryway may look like, where we could honor those people that have contributed to this process. And I know that we have some bricks at the football field, and we have some decisions and thoughts to be applied to those too. So a little bit of work, a little bit of discussions, and again, we're looking forward to the bid process. So that's an update there.
Have we set a date for the RFP?
Not yet. We're looking at making sure that it's through probably the holiday season time. I know the contractors have not winded down their season, their work schedules yet. They're getting close, but we want to make sure that they're kind of on their downtime or near downtime, whatever that may mean, as we put that out. So they have plenty of time to review and look at that. So I imagine end of October, we're getting closer. November, we're working with Right Side Design to go over that, and maybe end of November, and going through probably 8 to 10 weeks with our RFP on the market.
Then we went to the former high school building, we have an ad hoc committee.
Yes, we did. We do, and we've met, and we've brainstormed some. Really, we discussed the history leading up to what has happened to deal with the building, how to address it, what's been done in the past, and we really feel that we need to get an architect involved to make sure that if we look at putting out a bid document for that coming down, we need to make sure that we have an elevator that is attached to both buildings that needs to be dealt with. So we're really counting on design, some structure, analysis for us. And so the next step is probably bringing a couple of architects in for the committee to talk to and decide if we can find someone that fits our needs and that we have a comfort level with. And so we'll be scheduling a couple of those. We'll be looking at, we're really looking for an architectural firm that has school experience, and so we'll be reviewing some of those that I'm familiar with, and there are some that are affiliated with MASB, MSBO, the Business Official Association, Superintendent Association. They're really engaged with those associations, and they have deep school experience. So we'll be looking there first and see what's there, and bring a couple in at a time and have a conversation about what our project is, what we see it, and what ideas that they have that night, and learn about the companies and so forth. We'll develop a set of questions that we'll have, and we'll go from there. We have some members from that committee are here at the table. Is there anything else to add to that for those that were presented?
I just think it's important that people know that anything that happens to the old building, the elevator is going to be a major issue with that. It's going to be a costly item to deal with. And I think we discussed that, and I think everybody on the committee agreed that that's, I mean, it isn't even something we can do, it's something that has to be done as far as with updates to that elevator.
Yeah, and that I agree with, that it's an old operating elevator, and as we open up the soup can, it's going to be interesting to see what may exist there. So we need
a new elevator.
And yeah, and my point is it's not cheap.
No.
That may be, it's not just bringing down the old building, it's the elevator is as big an issue as bringing down the old building. You know?
And there's some landscaping once it's down. There's some landscaping there. So we'll be going over some possible scenarios for a solution and see what we come up with. And we'll continue to report to the full board as the committee moves forward.
My biggest takeaway from it is the lack of information. I learned a tremendous amount in that meeting because, like I told Howard, I was always under the impression that when the high school got built, that part of the bond from the high school was to tear that building down, and it's not true. You know, that the bond that passed didn't have that included in it, and we got to figure out a way to inform the public so they know, you know, how we got where we're at, you know, how we got to having a building that's got a fence around it, and it needs to come down, and we don't have a choice. You know, and it has to come down, and we have to make a decision. You know, and if we have to pay for it out of pocket, it's going to kill us. You know, and the other thing is, I asked Jim if he'd fill in for me for the architect interviews, and he said he would, correct? So he'll be taking my place for that part of it. Okay.
Thank you.
Future work study session.
Perhaps that we can pick up that discussion towards the end of the agenda as we talk about future work studies. Yeah, in your board packet, I've provided you with a letter that Right Side Design and the district has put together collectively. And the purpose of it is for communication to the greater public and for our school community also to kind of inform what's going on and what the purpose of what's going on with Right Side Design is going to be utilized for an introductory piece of information for those people that are going to be engaged in the process of interview and discussion. So I thought it would be very important for the board to have a resolution or action related to approving it, and I would like it approved. And you see, so fit for you personally, I would like the board members to sign it if it is passed, and to show that there's unity in the purpose of where we're going with this process. And we have representatives here from Right Side Design tonight, and if you have any questions or anything you'd like to discuss with them about that, that would be an opportunity to do so.
How are you going to petition for feedback? I mean, I read the letter, but I mean, is this something that you're going to, are we going to post something in the local paper? Is it going to be through social media? Are we going to send that letter out and a mass emailing to all of our parents in the school? How are we going to look for volunteers?
I know that they are going to, they're going to try to get a very cross-section and a representation of the community and our school community business. So I think they'll be asking and soliciting interviews to make sure that we have that cross-representation. And I know that it would be important to the board, so if someone is interested in contributing to an interview or sharing their thoughts, that would be available too. So we have two pathways to go. So the means of how we're going to ask if anyone is interested to contribute, I don't think we really covered that. But, but it is.
I know it's in the letter. It's in the letter that if you are not contacted and you're interested to email, I don't remember the email address, I'm sorry. But but I was just wondering, is that something that we could conceivably do, is ask the administrators when it's ready to push it out through our parent email contacts to the parents?
Right, and I think we're looking at doing groups at a time. So when we're working with a group, we should be able to push out specifically, hey, we're working with this group, and that if you would like to be involved, please let us know. What medium we'll be using to push that out, I think we'll have that collective talk and think what would be the best strategy. It may not be just one source, it may be multiple sources to get that out.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
Just really looking forward to this. This is big for us, and we're really focusing on how we can engage others and getting others' opinions of the perception of the district and what is the best way for the district to communicate and be engaged with multiple groups. So really looking forward to this process. And we'd like to introduce and talk about this.
Yeah, so just to piggyback on the discussion that you already had with the board, essentially the market segments that were introduced to you during our work study, those elements have been expanded on, and within that we're obtaining information about business types in terms of what this cross-section will look like both internally and externally, so the external business source. There's various channels of or various outlets in the business community to sit down and engage with people, or at least introduce the project. That's one of the reasons why this letter is extremely vital, so they understand that this isn't just Right Side Design coming out at individuals in the community or internal stakeholders, that this is an official element, sanctioned by the board and important. Cindy Fuller, she is a very important member of our project team that will be conducting the one-to-one interviews with the various internal and external stakeholders throughout the community and district. The survey questions have been discussed. We introduced them to the Ministry of Public Schools currently, so you know some of the background of what's happening. Vaughn and his team are basically gathering some data for us right now, so we can start to understand what our sample sizes are, so we can begin to have
obviously, we have all the members of the board, we have administration and supervisory staff, and then we also have instructional staff. And the instructional staff being the larger body, along with the support staff. And you'll notice we use the word deliberate selection. At first I used the word random, and it's like, no, this isn't going to be random, because what we're trying to make sure we do is make sure that there's not gender bias, building bias, subject matter bias. So although within certain segments it will be random, that's the type of information that Mr. Stone and his team are putting together for us, and so that also we balance the tenure of teachers too. Talk to new teachers as well as those that have been with the district for many years.
And it's a real advantage for one person, I believe, to conduct those interviews and do that process, so that we don't have scattered thoughts and opinions or different perspectives that are added to that process. So
It also controls the delivery of the content, which is critical, especially as it relates to summary findings. So, yeah, I'm very, very fortunate to have 1.1 back in person at that arena to do that into the product.
yeah.
So as we move forward with this, you've collected your data, you've made summaries. How are we then going to handle that? Are we going to have an ad hoc committee with administrators review information? Or are we going to have it all brought to the board during a work study session? I mean, what do you think is the best way to do this?
Yes. To a degree,
making sure that we schedule enough time and we know we have the work study session available that month.
Yep.
To do that and not sitting on.
Yeah, and it might be a series of multiple work sessions for us to go over this.
Like we discussed too, it's a lengthy engagement with Right Side, and they're going to be working with us, so we're going to have to put time aside for working with them. So.
And we're leading up, this will be part of our strategic process and so forth. So this is going to have some different legs that are happening as we go forward with this too. So I think a great deal of it is we need to learn what we're getting and learning from it and make kind of a plan for where this is taking us. But ultimately, it's all about communicating what we've got and what we plan to do with it. So, and again, my thoughts that we're a service industry and we serve this community and beyond. And we got to make sure that we're doing the best that we can in the perception of those that we serve. And this community, I hope, holds us in high esteem and understands the value of a good school district in this community, in their community. So those are some of the goals that we're working on.
All right, there'll be a board action later on in the meeting for this. Move on to business action items.
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we approve we have 3 sets of minutes. September 13th was the regular board meeting minutes, and then September 28th, our special meeting minutes, and also on the 28th, the closed session, which I presented in the meeting. So, all 3 of those.
Second. Motion by Shelley, second by Mr. Thompson. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those not in favor say yes. Thank you. Approved. Accounts payable.
I'd like to present total expenditures for approval for the months of September and October, $645,217.32.
Motion by Dr. Antal, second by Mr. Williams. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
The motion passes. Well, we have the overnight stay to approve for the swim team.
This was a girls' swim event. It has occurred already. So I'm just putting it out there. It is part of the policy for those approval. And we're working with the athletic department to do a little better job if we can do a little foreseeing and get those in a more timely manner. I know that we have the document online now available to be finished or filled out, so that should streamline things a little bit. But just reporting that they had a successful trip to Eastern Michigan University, and our swimmers represented the district themselves very well.
Motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
We'll make a motion for this.
Mr. Thompson.
Mr. Thompson, motion, second by Dr. Antal, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion carries, thanks. I skipped action item E, most important one tonight. Right side design communication letter. We have the letter here, if it's approved. We were asked to sign that so it can go out for the communication.
I'll make a motion to approve right side design communication.
Supported by Chris. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries, thanks. Okay, I'll pass this down and we can sign it as we goes on here. We have an action item for the handbook, the Harbor Academy edition. Any discussion on that?
Yeah, I like that it's concise. I think that's fantastic.
Can I just comment real quick?
Sure.
You know, and I think that you appreciate, and I appreciate that you appreciate it, the flexibility that this gives us to treat each student in a way that just suits their needs. So instead of worrying about a bunch of things we got to take care of separately, it's really about just getting that student in, having an agreed upon program. There's a buy-in by all stakeholders, most importantly the student, him or herself, and then we proceed. And so I think it really just streamlines it to make it customized for each student.
Have a motion. So moved. Motion by Dr. Antal, supported by Shelley. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those against, say aye. Motion carries, thank you. And then we have new business. Section communication. This portion of the agenda is for persons to address the board. Public communication is limited to 3 minutes per individual. Please fill out a public comment form if you wish to address the board. We do have one form.
Dr. Sullivan.
Dr. Sullivan, the board recommends Dr. Sullivan.
My name is Ryan Sullivan. Thank you all for letting me be here tonight to present to you. I'm here on behalf of my son Benjamin. Ben's 13 years old. He's in 8th grade, currently teaching at home. I'd like to start by saying that we've chosen to homeschool our children primarily out of religious conviction, not out of lack of respect for the quality education provided here at Manistee Public Schools. I myself am a graduate of Manistee, and I do appreciate the quality education that is provided. I'm here tonight to present a request that Ben be allowed to participate in the Manistee Middle School swim team. Actually, to clarify, he's been able to participate for the past 2 years. This is where Meister was very much very helpful, and been able to participate on an exhibition basis in the past. But the older he gets, the more difficult that becomes, and we're requesting to be able to participate at least in the regular season. I'll get more on that in a moment. Despite being homeschooled, Ben has been very involved in the public school system. He's been in a band program since 5th grade. This past year, he was actually the only Manistee student chosen to represent the school district at the state level for the band program. In addition, he's participated in a face-to-face academy. This occurs, I think, on Wednesdays at this point, and he's done 4 classes every Wednesday for the past 5 years through public schools. And we appreciate that opportunity as well. With regards to the swimming, we understand that the MHSAA has very strict guidelines and policies. And while there are opportunities to request exceptions, we understand that would be difficult, likely not productive, and we are not requesting that in any way. We recognize the guidelines, and we'd like to participate in them. One thing I would like to point out, I did not print out all 136 pages of those guidelines. You're welcome. I did print out 2 pages that I highlighted some important points that I'd like to raise. The first is that the guidelines are quite clear and that they only pertain to postseason championship meets, matches, or games. It is up to each school district to determine eligibility for the regular season. Second, with regards to the participation in the championship game, it's very clear that the students have to be participating in passing and half of a full course load. I believe that would be about 3 classes. I have plenty of ideas and we'll have time to talk more in the future. So basically, to me it seems a reasonable request to participate, at least in the regular season. I'd love to have future discussion for the potential for full participation and outlining his current participation with the band, Face-to-Face Academy, other opportunities, maybe a little bit more creative we could discuss, participation in sports could then be perceived as a PE credit to achieve 3 classes. There's a variety of possibilities, and I'd love to carry on this conversation in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. In anticipation of you asking for investigation of possibilities, I placed this on our administrative meeting weekly. So this will be on our agenda to speak to the administration about what possibilities may exist. And again, we'll review what you presented and we'll communicate to the board what the administration's thoughts are related to that. And we encourage all students and our family and our community to be able to participate. So we'll look into it and see what possibilities exist. And we'll speak with the board, and then if so be it, the board may be interested in conducting a work session related to that topic. Okay?
Is there a timeline?
The season does start in the near future.
The regular season is November, should we start end of October is when it starts, I think, October competition. Is that right, man?
So we'll expedite. We have potentially a work study. We talked about leaving the window open for October 19th. That would be next Wednesday.
For a work study?
Yeah, I'm not able to attend. I think it would be 26th. So we've had an attempt to reschedule. We haven't applied the topic to the 19th as a possibility.
I'm okay.
All right, well, we'll send out an invitation, see how it goes, and then we'll post it accordingly, okay? All right, sounds good. And we'll let you know if something's scheduled. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Is there any?
No, that was it.
Announcements. We report education work study sessions. We talk about changing maps now to the 19th. Retirement reception for Mrs. Kutuski, November 9th. She's here.
Just officially, she hates this idea.
That is at Kennedy Cafeteria for the MAPS Board of Education here will be November 9th at Jefferson. Consideration of location change to Kennedy, so be aware of that. And Michigan Association of School Boards Annual Leadership Conference is November 10th through the 13th at Detroit Renaissance Center. That concludes adjournment. Second by Chris, motion by Kyle. Say yes.
Jesus.